It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, somebody reached out to me. They said, Ray, you've been kind of beating up HP the last couple of years, but if you look at their stock price over the last year, it's more than double. Folks, here's the reality. When you buy back your own shares massively, your price goes up. When shareholders are temporarily fooled by this subscription nonsense, that could have caused some hype in the stock price. But here's the reality. I'm not bullish on HP at all. And as a matter of fact, I believe once we get through this pandemic and we start living in this post-pandemic world, the shareholders at HP are going to realize some things that I've been realizing for quite a long time. My opinion, of course. But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about some of the things that HP's talked about over the last 5 years. Remember this? We're going to disrupt the $55 billion marketplace with our A3s. Folks, I got to say that every time I talk about HP because it is absolutely the most delusional thing I think they've ever said in their life. They bought Samsung in 2016 and they were going to disrupt the $55 billion A3 marketplace. They didn't do it, my friends. We're in the 5th year. It's not happening. I mean, it's really not happening. What else has HP done? Well, in 2019, they refused to merge with the largest distribution channel, Xerox. Remember how I described Xerox as just a big, giant dealership? That's really what they are. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they really did get together and they could get past their egos and they got together? What could they have done? They wouldn't have had to go running around the country and the world bribing dealerships and resellers with this crazy Amplify contract, right? They would have had massive distribution through this Xerox channel to sell their compute products, to sell their print products, to sell their 3D products. My gosh, there could have been so many things good out of that. But they didn't see it because they were stubborn, they were delusional. Folks, at the end of the day, they missed a great opportunity. In 2020, they kicked off Amplify, the most aggressive, non-reseller-friendly contract in history. Many call a data grab. This Amplify contract, ladies and gentlemen, nobody likes it. You got dealers out there signing the damn thing in duress. I mean, seriously. Part of their disrupting the A3 marketplace was to give away A3 so damn cheap that dealers would just sign up with them, but in order for the dealer to sign up with them, the dealer has to give all the data to HP. You see how this is going? So they couldn't make it work on product alone, obviously. It's been 5 years. So they decide, hey, we can't get the dealers to take us on really and move our products, so let's just come up with some pricing that's so ridiculously low that dealers will sign up, sell our A3s, and then we'll get all this data from them. Folks, what happens when they got to start raising the price on the equipment? Because sooner or later, the shareholders are going to say, HP, you're giving away all your margin in this bribe contract you got going on. We need to make more money. Folks, when are the subscriptions going to start canceling? Does anybody think about that? When is Dell and Lenovo going to put pressure on the compute business, that personal systems business of HP? 70% of HP's revenue comes from their personal systems. Personal systems has nothing to do with print or print supplies, but 70% of HP's revenue comes from personal systems, their compute business. Guess what? Guess what, my friends? That only represents about 5% operating revenue. 70% of the revenue is running on like 5% operating revenue or operating profit. That's not good. Shareholders are going to wake up to that. When the subscriptions start getting canceled, the shareholders are going to wake up to that. When the dealers start realizing this Amplify contract's not worth the data. It's not worth it. And they're going to start looking for other A4 manufacturers. Nobody needs HP for A3. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's why Samsung got out, because the A3s weren't working. They didn't need another A3 in the marketplace. Samsung figured it out before they got into A3, and then they delusionally got into A3. And once they got into A3, they realized, oh, that was a stupid thing to do. We should have just stayed with A4. So let's get rid of it. It ain't working. They sell it off to HP. HP runs around the whole world. We're going to go out and disrupt the A3 marketplace. Oh, God, crazy, crazy thing they did. In 2021, we know more A3s are leaving the market and being replaced by A4s. That's just a fact of life, folks, and it's only going to increase, especially because of the pandemic, and everybody realizes those big, giant machines in the hallways, they didn't use them for 15 months. Why in the world would they upgrade them? The good thing that they did. So HP did do some great things, too. This is probably the best thing they ever did. They agreed that remanufacturing toner is great for the environment. They agreed that remanufactured cartridges are great for the environment. This is fantastic for remanufacturing business. Like I said, I think my friends over at Clover should use that in their marketing piece. I think they probably do to a degree. I mean, can you imagine HP, the people that have been suing remanufacturers for decades, putting all that pressure on end users, changing chips, putting up firmwares, blocking printers from ever using anything but OEM toner. Now they're telling the whole world they agree that remanufacturing cartridges are great for the environment. You know why they're doing this, folks? Well, because HP's in Europe. And guess what? The EU is coming up with some new laws pretty soon. I can't wait to talk about this in some more detail. But they're going to have to, people are going to have to use remanufactured cartridges. So HP's out there trying to, oh, okay, it's okay. They're good for the environment. We got to agree to that. Well, folks, HP's just made some really bad decisions, and I think it boils down to this. You know what? It's simple. If you look at their board, they have 11 board members, okay? And out of those 11 board members, there's only 3 of them that have been there longer than 2019. 3 of them. Okay? The other 9 have been there as far back as 2013. I think maybe it's time they get a refreshed board, maybe. But of course, if you're a competitor of HP, you want everything to stay just the way it is. Because if they continue making decisions like they've been making them in the past, well, you'll have a competitive advantage. Because once we get into this post-pandemic world and people stop buying those laptops and that subscription business just falls off the cliff, because it will. Folks, here's the deal. I've talked about this so many times, but let me just say this to the shareholders of HP. HP had an 85-90% market share of home printers before the virus ever started. We all would agree with that. So if that was the case and everybody went home to work, why didn't the ink just explode? They shouldn't even have had to have subscriptions. People should have been just filling up their printers that they already had that were already HP. Didn't happen, did it? Because people don't print at home. Regardless of the one-offs that turned into being some kind of a marketplace, the document imaging channel, the print equipment, supplies, and services industry took one-offs and made that a scalable model. They fooled themselves into some one-offs. They talked to some customers. Oh, yeah, we got to have printers at home. Remember that insane survey that was out there a while back? They asked the end user, if your boss bought the printer in your house, would you print more? How insane of a question is that? If your company bought your printer, would you print more? No, it wouldn't matter if they bought it or not. Of course, these people all said, oh, yeah, if the boss bought the printer, I'd print more. But they forgot to ask, do you even print at home? Because they probably would have followed up with that. Well, yeah, I guess I really don't print at home anyway. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this work from home thing has completely distracted a lot of folks in the document imaging channel. Completely distracted them to the realities of a marketplace and where we're going. It sure as hell has distracted HP. And if they think they're going to survive because they got some 3D printing and that's going to save them, it's not. Like I said, when that personal systems business gets pressured, and it's going to get pressured from Dell, Lenovo, and chips. It's going to get pressured. And when the subscriptions get canceled, it's going to get pressured. And then we'll see where the stock price goes. Just some things to think about, my friends, because we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll